Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, Classic Less Known Classics. This is episode number 3110, Doubleshot number 3004. First up we have is Ultimate Spider-Man Double Trouble, which collect issues 14 and 21 of Ultimate Spider-Man by Roberto Bendis, art by Mark Bagley. Yep. The very first issue is Peter Parker in class. Of course, he's still hitting with Mary Jane. And also, then we cut to a government facility, which has Dr. Octopus, a sub-explosion from the opening issues. Yeah, he's around. It's like, why I call him Dr. Octopus? And it's revealed that he has his arms grafted to his body. And that's not the only thing. Later on, it's revealed basically his eyes are in terrible shape. He can somewhat still see, it's just that he also has like a piece of flesh covering one of his eyes. I'm like, could you have one of the doctors cut that, dude? Basically, also a prep rally here. Excuse me, somebody's about to take out the trash. Anyways, so, yeah. And then we're introduced to Ultimate Gwen Stacy, who is a punk girl. Yep. Yeah. And, like, yeah, Peter's staring at her, despite the fact he's dating, well, Mary Jane. And, of course, basically, then we have the whole thing with Dr. Octopus. Moves his bandages. Well, before we come back to the prep rally. And we have still going with Peter and MJ, still their blossoming romance. Like, what he done to me. And, of course, then he shows, yeah, his eyes are like this. Like, ugh. Yeah, and get this. He wears glasses after this. He wore sunglasses to cover this up because his eyes look like that. And then he proceeds to murder the doctor who's trying to help him. Yep, so, yeah, and Keenan Khan figures out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He's the first one to figure this out. We have stuff with this blonde girl. I don't think it's Gwen. No, it's a blonde girl who was attacked by Dr. Octopus, and then Keenan Khan figures, oh, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's like, really? Yeah. He figures it out. He has to Flash Thompson with Liz Allen here. And then, of course, basically, looks like Keenan, looks like some other guy. I don't think it's Keenan. I think it's some other guy. Yeah, I think it's Keenan. He kicks Peter Parker. And then, of course, Gwen Stacy stands up to him by poking a knife at him. And then, of course, I think this is Professor Warren. Comes by and sees a knife, and Gwen Stacy's the one dragged to the office, and not Keenan. This like he was one bullying Peter, and then we're introduced to Ultimate Captain Stacy. Yep, who's basically here at the crime scene. And he has to bring his daughter to school because basically she's about to be got in trouble for bringing a knife to school, and he gets interviewed by Ben Urich, a guy who in the American universe never interacted. Nope, never did. Then Spider-Man a purse snatcher. Runs into J. Jonah Jameson. Like, hey, aren't you J. Jonah Jameson at a Daily Bugle? You think I printed up the garbage about me? There was the one thing to say to you. Love the paper. It's hysterical. Oh my god, okay, it's kind of funny. Yeah, and of course he has like a headache thing. Of course, it's related to stuff with the Kingpin. And of course, he has stuff with Dr. Octopus and proceeds to go to Oscorp. Actually, no, not Oscorp. He goes to visit the office he just chats with this empty room. And it turns out, get this, he is chatting with a picture of Iron Man villain Justin Hammer. Yes, Justin Hammer. You're thinking, wait a minute, yeah, he's an Iron Man villain. Why the heck is he a Spider-Man book? Not the first time. Oh no. Heck, they had Ultimate Hammerhead pop up in Ultimate X-Men. Yeah, they proceed to destroy his office, and they were introduced to Ultimate Kraven the Hunter. So they're like, okay, so we're introduced to ultimate versions of Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy, Justin Hammer, and Kraven the Hunter. They're not the only ones. Oh no. And of course, basically, Captain basically is like, she even basically points out though, like, talk. Basically, she points out though the fact that she was standing up for Peter, and basically she was the one basically punished for daring to stand up basically with a frickin' weapon. Captain, your mom is on line 7. Mom? Gramps? Nope, it's not his mom. It's actually Ben Urich talking about the whole case. And then we meet, I kid you not, the ultimate version of Sharon Carter. And you're thinking, wait a minute. She's a Captain America character. Why is she here? Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's here with her partner. Yeah, who is this guy? I think I don't remember who he was supposed to be, of course, also with, you think, wait, first the character from Iron Man, now a character from Captain America? What else we got here? Yep, so, also the government facility, of course, Peter's listening on this, of course, then we have Kraven with this black woman, I think is supposed to be Ultimate Callisto. I believe so. And then, throughout the next few issues, they have this basically the whole thing of Kraven trying to stalk Spider-Man like he did in the regular universe. And then you have look like Calypso, look like she's got out of the shower, or she just, you know, probably finished having a round of sex with Kraven. Yep. And then of course you have Gwen wearing a Union Jacket shirt for some reason. And there's whole thing with Liz Allen, and of course Gwen Stacy here. And then, of course, you have Justin doing a conference from his limo. And, of course, then we're introduced to, well, in this video footage, we're introduced to Ultimate Sandman, despite the fact he does not make his debut into issue 46. Yeah. Yeah, there's a new facility here, and then Dr. Octopus shows up. This little funny thing here. He just shows up here in his green suit. Yeah. And, of course, he's running a helicopter. Actually, I think that's supposed to be Stan. I'm not sure who that's supposed to be. Let me take a look here about this. Who is the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. here with... I don't think it's Johnny Woo. No, I don't think so. Let me take a look about this, because basically they're introduced to these two in these issues. Oh, yeah, it's Johnny Woo. That's who it is. It's Johnny Woo. A character who in the Ultiverse pretty much does frickin' nothing. No, seriously. At one point, he is, like, dropped from the Ultiverse. Unlike his partner Sharon, who is very heavily featured. Well, somewhat anyways. After these issues, she's not sneaking into issue 46. Pops up in Ultimate 6. Appears 2 more times after that. And that's it for her. No, seriously. They do not have her appear ever again in the Ultiverse. I don't know why they kind of dropped using Sharon Carter. Yeah, I don't really know why. It's like she's around the Ultiverse for a very brief period of time. Oh, she does appear in Ultimate Origins. Interesting. Yeah. So, 90 is the stuff, I think, with Silver Sable. Mm-hmm. And then she popped up in Ultimate Origins, and that was the last you saw of her. Mm-hmm. Is she dead in the Ultiverse? No, it's just that she didn't do much. It's just stuff here related to Project Pegasus. Yeah, I'll discuss this book at some point. But yeah, though sadly put in these issues, like, yeah, this stuff happens with. They have Spider-Man's first confrontation with Dr. Octopus, which he loses, which is a nod to the regular universe, which this did happen in issue 3. And he attempts to get him Spider-Man, he attempts to be arrested, but looking up, basically, he's able to step away. We got tough noogies. Yep. This is so funny. It's like, wait, hey, is that Charlton Heston? Yeah, very looking away. And he just blasts every freaking webs. It's so funny. And of course, him's good, but don't worry, he's able to get prep talk from his awesome girlfriend, Gwen Stacy, get his first kiss with her. Yeah, his first kiss. And then, of course, newspaper talk bad about him, and then, of course, he just... This is so funny. It's like, I brought home nuggets. You have him slip out the basement, go into the kitchen, behind Aunt May's back, and crawl into his bedroom, and, well... Yeah. And then we see Kraven looks like he's interacting with this reporter. Where he also goes to Midtown High, where he basically interacts with the damaged wall that was damaged by Green Goblin in the opening issues. He kind of picks the set and gets a new shirt. And then of course you have Spider-Man just casually being in James Office webs, everybody, including a woman with a freaking phone. It's just stuff. Oops, sorry. And it's so funny. He just breaks out and then Otto Octavius is there, and of course, having to get away. And then, of course, basically, for some reason that I'm not sure why, Kraven decided to attempt to sleep with the reporter, and then basically strangle her. So her name is Tabity. Even though technically I look at her, she's obviously the ultimate version of Eclipso. Eclipso, excuse me. Yeah, and sadly put, after the story, she never seen the Ultiverse over again. She just appears in one story, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also debut in these also a woman named Tracy Hale, who appears in Stork, appears a couple more times after this, and that was it for her. We do kill off one character, John Dr. Sir, who I thought he would just name, but nope, he basically just appears in this issue, gets killed off. Also, in these issues, we actually have a teacher named Miss Harris, who only appears in these issues, appears in Ultimate Spider-Man Special, and that is it. No, seriously. That's all they do with this character. She just pops up here and doesn't pretty much anything after that. Also, Betty Brant's in the school. Actually, she's working James' secretary. Yeah, and she's a very common fixture in the Ultimate Universe. Well, somewhat anyway. She's not as heavily recurring as all the other characters. Though after these issues, she is popping into issue 43. And pops a few times until she got killed off in, well, Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. As is woman who Kraven sleeps with, she is just some random woman who just appears in this story arc who attempts to interview him and tries to sleep with him. Despite the fact he has another woman there, but nope, he just decides to do this for some reason. Yeah. So then, of course, basically, we have the stuff with Hammer, and then we lead into the final 2 issues of this arc, where Dr. Octopus attempts to attack just Hammer, which, of course, basically, that he tries to get away, but nope. Octopus picks the woman pretty much, of course, he gets web in the face, and, of course, Spider-Man sees his eyes afterwards, after knocking his glasses off. We have somebody with Kraven here, too. Oh, he shows up here, too. And of course, Spider-Man fights Octopus in his rematch. He rips some of his arms off, too, which is something he does do commonly in the 616. It's like, spits out on the ground, goes nasty, and he's defeated. And then all of a sudden, here's Kraven in his, a take on the, ultimate take on the regular costume, which I thought this was really cool. Mark Mackley do this. And I was like, oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me. That's by him, too? Yep. And it's on worldwide news, and he beats him instantly. Oh yeah, and he's basically taken away. And of course, basically the reporter gets away. MJ is happy. Of course, Octopus himself is basically arrested once again. And of course, Peter is basically grounded for staying out too late. Which I think this was loosely adapted for Ultimate Spider-Man. So, actually, Spectacular Spider-Man. So, then of course, basically, he's grounded and, like, who knows? And of course, then Dr. Octopus figures, oh, it's Peter Parker Spider-Man. Ending the book. Excellent issues. Yeah, love this book. Give this book a 10 out of 10. Next up we have is, if I can find the right book here we go. We have pretty much in a way the most recent volume for this book, which I think there's another book coming out soon for this one. Yeah, there is another book coming out really soon. It's basically a revival of the old New Thunderbolts book, except a complete new lineup, where it's more like a superhero team instead of being what was before. So, in these issues here, by the way, this book is basically about not the classic Thunderbolts. This is called Worldstrike, where it's, for some reason, the book, the characters are called Thunderbolts. Despite the fact they're kind of not really called in the book, but according to one of the creators, yeah, they're the Thunderbolts. And you have Bucky, who is the revolutionary, recruiting these people to do one thing: find Red Skull and murder him. And he recruits in this book, get this, like, throughout this book, like, he recruits various people to his cause to go kill Red Skull, because why not? Written by Jackson Lacing, art by Colin Kelly, art by Geraldo Bedges. They included the Dark Reign Winter Soldier one-shot, also by the same Green Raiders, including run by Nico Lyon. So in the opening issue, where you have Bucky going all over looking for Red Skull, and then he comes across Contessa Valentina, Well, Agra, I think her name is. Yes. Well, to Agra Delmatine, except this actually is not Contessa, it's an LMD. LMD of the real person. You know, they do this on behalf of the book. This is actually not the real Contessa. Where's the actual Contessa? Well, she is someplace else. She actually did return recently in Doomstrike. Mm-hmm. And of course, I mentioned OXE, just basically a company that Contessa founded, and they're only here in this book. Yeah. And basically, so he recruits her. And basically, and then we have Sharon Carter appear in the book, who is the current destroyer. You probably think, what was this a decision by JMS to do? No. This was done by Taga Kotis, the guy who preceded JMS on, actually, no, this actually was somebody else. Hey. Because I think this was prevalent in the previous book. It was the most recent one in Captain America. Oh no. I think it was in the Ty Nakota's run, I believe it was. No. Was it a Liberty? Yes, I believe it was. Yeah, basically it was the same criteria as this book. Ah! Okay, so they're the ones, basically, the ones who turn her into Destroyer. She did as a tribute to, basically, the original guy. So she takes out some Nazis, and then she's recruited by Bucky, and we have sort of a three-person team. And like people who basically work Red Skull, and of course they think Red Skull is here, but not really. Of course, when they reveal, oh, she's a robot in issue 1, they reveal she's a robot, and then we have Red Guardian appearing in this issue. Yes, the Red Guardian. You're all thinking, which one? Excuse me. It is Alexei, the original Red Guardian. Which, this is interesting, given the fact that the guy has not been active very much for years. And you're thinking, why is he in this book for? And why does he look like this? Why does he get the whole redesign thing? Well, there's a reason why for that. The live-action version of the character, who printed Black Widow. Yep, and plus also he's going to be appearing in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. That's the only reason why he's here. And of course, they think they can fight Red Skull, but it's not him. Nope, it's an imposter. You're thinking, really? Actually, it's, it's Alexander Lincoln. Yeah, this is a Brubaker character who got revived during the run by Tai Nashi Kotis. Yep. And he gets killed off this issue. As for instance, the Master Men. Yeah, he gets killed off the first issue. So, and it turns out, yeah, that we have the real Red Skull is alive and well. Which I'm thinking, how the heck is he alive? Because man, like, you're thinking, is this we dead? Well, this is also something that tied Nakotis. He did this too. Yeah, he basically brought back Johann Schmidt for reasons. And my guess is the reason why he appeared in this book because JMS had no plans to use the character. So, and they have a party here, and you have a one arm, you have Bucky with Natasha and Sharon. Yeah. Yeah, basically, why are these two here? Because Natasha Elena, who now become the White Widow, you're thinking, in the comics, she was the Black Widow at one point, and then she became the White Widow. You're thinking, who the heck did this? Who made her the White Widow? If you're really curious about that, it was Kelly Thompson. No, seriously, it was Kelly frickin' Thompson. She's the one who did it. I don't know exactly the reason why she did it for, but she did. It is by far one of the most weirdest ideas. But the reason why, because they brought her in the book, because she's another character who appeared in a Black Widow movie, so let's turn her into a good guy because she's a good movie. And then we see Wilson Fisk, the White King. This was not done by either Ty Nakotis or any of the writers through this book. Him becoming the White King, that was Gary Duggan did that. And of course, his role, and of course you have Black Widow with a symbiote. Yeah. So you're thinking, who the heck did that? Al Ewing. No, seriously, it was Al frickin' Ewing. He's the one who did it. As for the reason why he did it, I have no frickin' idea why the heck he thought this was a good idea to do. But apparently he did. He thought this was a good idea. Yeah, it's something that Marvel readers have not been well receptive toward. Yeah, the whole thing of her being a host of a symbiote. Heck, she got a fucking miniseries in Venom War called, I think it was, Widow Web? Yeah, it was all focused on her. So then, of course, you have Bucky fighting the Kingpin, which is so fun to see this. Yeah. Who would have thought, though? So basically you have a character who was an Avenger, who debuted in Iron Man, a Captain America character, and a character who debuted in Spider-Man. And it's all looking for Johann Schmidt. Oh, fun fact, did you know that Wilson Fisk was once in charge of a faction, of basically a division of Hydra? Yes, seriously. He was in charge of Hydra. He was basically behind the scenes, the fact, the leader behind the figurehead leader, his son. So then we have in issue 3, where you have the Revolutionary going to China, running to Shang-Chi, and then, of course, running into American Kaiju, and then another Al Ewing creation. Which, I'm like, this is awesome. I love he basically, I think he popped up in U.S. Avengers. Yeah, U.S. Avengers. So, and by the way, we also have John Walker, a.k.a. U.S. agent here. Which, why is he here? Movie. Yeah, he's going to be in Thunderbolts. Yep, so he joins the team too. We also have Bucky going giant size fighting American Kaiju. Now, here's the thing. American Kaiju himself has not been seen in comics since the end of U.S. Avengers. That was the last time he was ever seen. By the way, the cover is about the Dotsons. Yes. Actually, he first appeared in Avengers #0, but technically, yes, he is an Al Ewing creation. He's basically an Americanized version of Godzilla. So, technically, he did appear a couple of U.S. Avengers, but his last appearance before this was King in Black Scream. A one-shot that later led to a Scream one-shot for Extreme Carnage. Before she became Silence. Yes, that's her current code name now. The appearance, it was a cameo. He did appear in Planet of the Symbiotes as well. As a featured character. That was back in 2021. And then when he appeared in this book, this is probably his first proper appearance he's made in about a few years. Also, they brought in, because Shang-Chi is here, let's bring in the Five Weapon Society. A basically organization Shang-Chi is a leader of, debuted in his own book, written by Jean Lan. Yeah, this organization was founded by Shang-Chi's father, who at one point was considered to be Fu Manchu, and this is actually the return to comics. Previous time they appeared was actually in Gang War. Yep, Gang War. Yep. So yeah, by the way, this is the most recent appearance of Kaiju. He's not seen again after this. As for Five Weapon Society, they do appear in the very next issue. After that, they've not been seen since then. So, the next issue, the Thunderbolts go to Latveria, the home of Doctor Doom. Without parachute, because basically Johansson is basically hiding there for some reason. Now, you're probably thinking, why the heck would Doom allow Red Skull in his country? Given the fact he is probably the most despised villain in comics. Not Doctor Doom. Red Skull is because he's a frickin' Nazi. And by the way, the only villain who ever gets along with him, there's only two. Zemo and Crossbones. All because of his Nazi nature. And of course, Count of Destruction here. Eventually, by the end of the book, of course, they do kill. Basically, Dr. Doom kills Johann Schmidt. And everybody's basically all wrapped up, and of course they go back to Thunderbolts Mountain. Yep. Which, yeah, it's a base of operations in this book. Yeah, which, this is the first time it appeared in some time in comics. Yeah, that's the thing with Thunderbolts. Prior to this book, the last that this facility was ever seen was an issue of Deadpool. Yeah, I think it was abandoned, I think it was. That was back in 2017. And it appears in issue 2, where it officially becomes base operations for them, which is really cool. Now, it first appeared in Thunderbolts 110. If you're curious, who created this place? Warren Ellis. And this is the first appearance of Thunderbolts Mountain. So it's like, okay, I guess that the creators probably felt that, so hey, why not have Thunderbolts based in a place that people do know about? That being Thunderbolts Mountain. Yeah, it was very heavily featured in comics for a few years, and then it just stopped appearing, and then it returned in this book. Yeah, and also the fact that this book gets another mini-series right after this one under One World Under Doom. Yeah, it's going to be a 5-issue mini-series that's going to lead to a new Thunderbolts book. Yeah, and also that they apparently Bucky decided to bring the table that was used by the Outer Circle. Some agrees to it together. And of course, they have new threats to go after. Of course, you have Black Widow staying around Bucky because, of course, they still have a thing for each other. We have U.S. Agent and Red Guardian basically attempt to arm wrestle each other. And the other targets here are, looks like Ultron, the Ferris twins, Norman Osborn, the Hulk, MODOK, Dr. Octopus, Baron Blood. Looks like a version, looks like Artem Zola. Could be the Vision. Tombstone. Zemo, a bunch of characters. Let's see if this website here has the confirmed picture count here. So basically, the pictures are Tombstone, Baron Zemo, Carnage, even though he's supposed to be dead. The clone. Dr. Octopus, Baron Blood, MODOK, Hulk, Apocalypse, of course, Veterans, Ultron, Fulong. You're probably thinking, but by the end of this book, it seems like the other was playing for more stuff here, but the book just ends. After just 4 issues. I guess because they accomplished their mission, presumably. Actually, no, it wasn't Al Ewing. It was Torun Grevik. Brand new writer to the scene from Marvel Comics. First no published work for Marvel Comics was Valkyrie Jane Foster. Which was I think the third to last issue of the book. Yeah, because the book got canceled issue 10. But yeah, she took over as the co-writer from Al Ewing on this book. Who actually left. And, no, she is not the reason the book got canceled. She, of course, she has very good comics. I love her work. But I'm thinking, what's she doing currently at Marvel? Well, Venom ended. Well, she is doing a new Spider-Girl book. Yep, except it's not Mayday Parker, it's the character appeared in Spider-Boy. But yeah, her last comic before that was Venom. The final issue of Venom, Volume 5, Issue 39, which was a little bit longer than the previous volume for the book. Yeah, by about about 4 issues longer. I'm not kidding about this, virtually almost the same length. Yeah, so she did a really interesting run on Carnage. So here's what's from Marvel. She did Jane Foster with Thor for a few issues. King and Black returned Valkyries. Excuse me. Mighty Valkyries. Some Warhammer 3 4000 book. Wasteland's Doom. An AM for Captain Marvel. Jane Foster Mighty Thor #1. She did basically the whole miniseries. Punisher Warrior Blitz. And Brother. Thanos Death Notes. Briefly writer on Thor. I think she took over from Donny Cates' book for the major issues of this book before the book ended. Before it got relaunched under Al Ewing. Then she came on Venom with issue 23. I think she came on replacing Ram V as one of the co-writers of this book. Yeah, Ram V himself actually left after a very short run in the book. If you're thinking like, okay, what was the last issue Ram V wrote for Venom? He wrote, last issue he wrote was actually issue 15. Last book he did for Marvel, Web of Carnage #1. Which I believe is collected in a Carnage trade. Yes. But you're thinking, why did he stop writing for Marvel? I mean, he had a very short time at Marvel. He did a short story for War Scrolls, Empire of Thor. I think this book was canceled, wasn't it? Yeah, it was canceled. He did Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. He did, of course, mostly around the first 15 issues of Venom. He did a run for Carnage. And that was it. He's over at DC now. But I wouldn't say his run was terrible. Not really. But in the case of these writers themselves, of this book, well, they would continue writing books of Marvel. You're thinking, okay, do they write Doomstrike? Yes. Yes, they do. Yeah, Colin Kelly, who's commonly referred to as basically a co-writer with Jackson Lazing. Aside from doing Doomstrike, he currently also does some Giant Size books to come soon. He's also was the writer for NYX. And he did a Venom War tie-in. He's mostly done a lot of mini-series. I mean, the only ongoing he's ever done for Marvel has been Captain America Stand at Liberty, Guardians of the Galaxy, NYX, and that's been it. He's been very mixed received as a writer. Yes. I've heard he's been referred to as him and his co-writer Jackson Lazing as the cheapest writers out there to hire. That's what I've heard anyways. I think I met Colin Kelly. I think it was. I met him at Comic-Con last year. Nice guy. Very nice guy to meet. Yeah, I'm like, anybody reads this book, you're probably thinking, like, what's supposed to be ongoing or limited series? This one for Thunderbolts. I think this is supposed to be a limited series. Yeah, just limited series. But there's only 4 issues. Which is weird, given how the previous volume was also limited series. And those of you asking, what happened to Fist's Thunderbolts? What happened to the classic one? Well, they're kind of brought back under one Warner Doom. Yeah, they're brought back here, and like after that Thunderbolts book wrapped up, the next period in this volume from the Bolts, because of course basically to fight the regular Thunderbolts. Yeah, it's gonna be Thunderbolts versus Thunderbolts. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yep. So I should probably end it here because it's getting kind of late here. So I will see you all tomorrow for more videos. Okay? You feel? Bye.